DICE have allegedly started working on the next Battlefield title slated for a 2023 release, and it's uncertain what that means for the future of both Battlefield 2042 and the franchise as a whole. Does it make more sense for the company to revive Battlefield 2042 or ditch the game after a single season of content so that they can fully focus on the next title that has allegedly learned from its past mistakes? Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today I want to talk about the future of the Battlefield franchise, much inspired by Tom Henderson's latest article over on Xfire regarding the behind-the-scenes plans for the franchise. And before we get deep into this discussion, I first have a message from today's sponsors. If you play multiplayer games, there's a good chance that you've leaked your IP address to hackers. And I know that could sound far-fetched or like no big deal, but hear me out. Your IP address is a lot like your street address. It tells internet services such as websites and game servers where on the internet you're located. If someone gets this number, they can try breaking into your home network and anything connected to it. So when you play a bunch of multiplayer games that potentially expose your IP address to the other players, you're potentially exposing your entire home network to malicious activity. The good news is today's sponsor, NordVPN, has you covered with their reliable and secure VPN services. Once connected, your internet traffic goes through Nord's encrypted network, preventing prying eyes from grabbing your IP address, but you're only as secure as your weakest link. That's why NordVPN also offers applications for PC, Mac, mobile devices, and even consoles. Secure everything on your network today with NordVPN. Check out NordVPN using my link in the video description, and that link will get you a big discount on a 2-year plan plus 1 month free, and it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Just head on over to nordvpn.com/levelcapgaming or use my link below. Thanks again to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Alright, now in Tom Henderson's Xfire article, he quotes some inside sources as saying valuable lessons have been learned following the release of Battlefield 2042. And also a quote saying, "I think we'll be reverting a lot of the changes that we made in Battlefield 2042. Plus, apparently the next title was initially supposed to be a hero shooter, but those plans may have changed in light of 2042's reception. A source also told Tom that the game would be set in a near future setting, so it's entirely possible it's adjacent to the current setting or story arc of 2042, and that a significant number of the development team has already moved on to the next project. This news, of course, has stirred up all kinds of emotions. I've seen people saying just let 2042 die and focus on the next game, while others are saying if they don't fix 2042, then they won't buy the next game. The messages are certainly mixed, but overall angry in nature. 2042 is currently resting at an abysmally low player population with nothing new planned for content until sometime in summer. Even the monthly updates are particularly underwhelming, with the last one adding a scoreboard and the next one bringing some balanced tweaks. The outlook is grim. Now, personally, I've been a huge fan of the Battlefield franchise since the beginning. I've seen DICE release some of the best FPS games of an entire shooter generation, and I've also seen them release some of the worst. The company almost seems like it has mood swings with regards to the quality and inspiration of their titles. And to put things simply, at present, the studio is in a slump, releasing 2 back-to-back games that have been poorly received by the community and poorly supported as well, Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 2042. And for anyone who followed Battlefield 5, its development history could in fact be painting a picture of what's in store for people hoping for a Battlefield 2042 recovery. The quick and dirty history of Battlefield 5 was a World War II themed game that somehow didn't know what it was really supposed to be until it was too late. A disjointed reveal trailer left fans confused as to what the game was going to be about. I personally thought it was going to be an alternate history game after my first trailer viewing, and when it launched, the game was painfully undercooked. And I would still honestly argue that it was in a similar, if not slightly worse boat than Battlefield 2042 was at launch. Bugs were everywhere, my performance was terrible for about a year after the game launched, there was missing assets, broken progression systems, and delayed content. Like, massively delayed content. By the time Battlefield 5 had fixed enough of its bugs and started to produce decent content and new maps, the live service period for the game was basically over, leaving the player base with a 2-year gap between the end of live service support and the next game. Now, with this recent news from Tom about the next Battlefield game, it could indicate that wait times between games won't be so extreme. In fact, before the game even launched back in August of last year, it was basically confirmed by EA's CEO that they were already planning the 2-year dev cycle for the franchise. And obviously back then, I'm sure they didn't quite anticipate the sheer disaster of 2042's launch and public perception. That being said, once plans are in place, it can be pretty hard to change course, and according to Tom anyway, it sounds like EA isn't changing course. This is, in my opinion, a very dangerous play for the company and the franchise as a whole. A lot will depend on what 2042 can do over the next year, and to be honest, it's really not looking great for the title. So much work has to be done, and even then, reviving the player base may just not happen. So while Battlefield 5 actually ended on a high note with the criticism basically being, give us more, the game is good now, Battlefield 2042 may leave the community on a, oh, are people still playing that game kind of vibe. This could set up a very rough transition into a brand new title with fans still angry about 2042 and how the live service support went. It's honestly hard to say. I generally believe people will play what's fun regardless of the circumstances around the game. If your friends are playing a new game and having fun, chances are you'll jump in with them too. However, at the same time, with so many Battlefield alternatives popping up, giving players something else to play, and DICE's last 2 titles being absolute launch disasters, it could pose a real threat to achieving critical mass for a new game. Hell Let Loose, Squad, Insurgency, World War III, and even more shooters are popping up to capitalize on DICE's continued failings, and many of them are doing quite well. Now, of course, the whole DICE learned its lesson quote and the knowledge that they're reverting a lot of the changes made for 2042 doesn't exactly boost my confidence in the next title either. I mean, the community has more or less been screaming about the obvious issues of the current game since it launched, and to fix those mistakes really is the bare minimum at this point. Though I will say that sticking in the modern to futuristic era is probably still the safest bet for DICE going forward. And of course, the ace up the sleeve for EA is the new management for the franchise, Vince Zampella and Marcus Leto. They certainly aren't producers to turn your nose up at. They also, as far as I know, didn't have anything to do with 2042's launch or concept, so it's possible that they're in a better position to lead the charge with a new game and some fresh ideas. And while, again, they may be an ace up the sleeve, they could also be a wild card, preparing to turn the franchise into something that doesn't feel like Battlefield at all. For the most part, though, I think they will do well as studio leads, but they have a lot of work cut out for them. But where do you guys stand? Are you still waiting to see if Battlefield 2042 can make a comeback? Is the game dead to you? Are you excited for the next game, or have you moved on from Battlefield completely? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what shooters you guys are playing the most these days. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.